Hi guys, it's Erin from Ginger's Florals. Did you know that it's time to start sowing seeds for the 2025 garden? Yeah, I know it's hard to believe, but I'm gonna start sowing some seeds for a type of plant called a biennial. If you don't know what that is, foxgloves are a pretty good example of them. They're flowers that will bloom on the second year of a plant's life. So like foxgloves right now, clearly they grow wild here, but they will bloom now, set seed later in the season. They'll drop their seed and then they'll germinate in the spring, and then they'll just make this little tuft of greenery for next season and stay like that all season long. And then the following spring they bloom. So the thing about biennials, you can see, look at these, they're so pretty. So the thing about biennials is that they kind of bridge the gap. As you can see, if you've been watching my videos, we're kind of at the tail end of all of our spring blooms. The ranunculus are finishing up, the tulips have been done for a couple of weeks, but we don't quite have any of our early annual blooms. Like my sunflowers are really close, and the peonies and roses have just started going. And these guys, the biennials, they've been going for a few weeks in the interim. The really cool part about them is that they will bridge that gap. So by sowing them right now, the idea is that we kind of trick their life cycle. So instead of sowing or dropping seed and germinating next spring, spending the whole year growing and then blooming the following season, if I sow them now, they will have their season this year still, and then I can plant them out in the garden in probably September. I'll sow them and I'll pot them up and I'll keep them going, and then in September, when I start to clear out beds, I'll put them into the field, and this season will have been their first year of growth, and then next year they'll bloom. So I'm going to turn the camera on and show you some that I've already got going that we did this process with last year. So this right here is foxglove, obviously. These guys, I started them last early summer, late spring, and they grew on. They sat in the garden like this all through the winter, and then they're getting ready to start blooming, just like the wild ones out back there, which I just love. And then another really great one is Sweet William, which is a dianthus. Look at these guys. I did the same process last year with these guys, and they're blooming now, which, like I said already, those sunflowers are almost there, but not quite. So I have these flowers in the meantime. Now, granted, last year I didn't do quite as good of a job as I should have paying attention to them in the middle of summer because it's chaos and there's so much going on. Harvesting and all the rest of the flowers are going to town, and I neglected them, so I don't have nearly as many as I should. But we're going to make a concerted effort for next year to have a lot more flowers going into that lull time in between the ranunculus and the peonies and all that. So I'm going to turn the camera back around. So in this zone 8B, the dianthus, the Sweet William, is actually it can be a perennial. I have some that I've grown along the forest edge that actually my husband sowed the seeds for, and they come back every year. They're perennial. This is another one of my favorites. This one is called Sweet Rocket. It has the most gorgeous scent. So this one here, this is Canterbury Bells. I will show you in a minute. Up here I've got some more that are in a much better condition, but I've also got these little babies that for some reason have decided to bloom super tiny. This is what the flowers look like. They're really gorgeous when there's a whole bunch of them. So like I said, I have some more up here that I'll show you what they look like. And the Sweet Rocket we talked about, it's just absolutely my favorite. I'll show you these up here. So these here, this plant and this one are the Canterbury bells with those pretty little bell-shaped flowers. This is what they should be looking like when they go to bloom, but something's weird with those other ones. So like I was saying, I have this patch of Sweet Rocket I've been cutting like crazy off for the few weeks now. And then this is some more Sweet William. These are all white. So like I said, a lot of times the Sweet William is grown as a perennial in 8B, but the Sweet Rocket normally isn't. For whatever reason, I never got around to taking these plants out last winter, and they lived through. They stayed through the winter and they shot up and they're blooming again. So this year I do plan on growing a few and planting them out into one of the garden beds, hoping that they will perennialize, and then I can just have these all the time. If that's the case, I'm all for it. I'm super excited about it. So the different varieties of each that I'm going to grow. Foxglove, I'm going to grow what's a variety called Pink Gin. So Foxglove, you can get two different types. You can get the first year blooming type, which are beautiful. I haven't had a lot of great luck with them. I don't know if it's my climate or I was doing something wrong, but I'm gonna stick with the biennial variety, and it's Pink Gin. Now you saw the Foxglove earlier that just grow wild, and it seems strange that I would even grow them, but the type that you can buy the seed and grow that has been bred specifically for cut flowers, they're a little different. The bells will be closer together, and the colors are just different. Most of what we have here is kind of pale lavendery colors and whites and some pinks, but this one is a real true pink with some freckles on the inside, and I'm looking forward to it. So we'll see how that goes. Sweet Rocket, it'll be the same as what I've got here. There's some violets and the pale lavender. It looks white, but I promise it was lavender. It's kind of bleached out at the moment. The Sweet William, I'm gonna grow some, I'll put the name up on the screen, but it's a pink, bright colored, multicolored variety that I'm actually gonna grow these as a perennial. I'm not gonna put them into one of my annual or biennial flower beds. I'm gonna put them into the garden as a perennial, and hopefully I'll have them forevermore. And then the Canterbury bells, it's the Champion series, which is the one that you saw right up here that's super big and bushy and getting ready to bloom, not the little weird ones that I don't know what happened. They say that they'll bloom on first year. I think that's what happened, is I sowed them super early, hoping to get blooms on the first year of growth. It says that you can. It's not really working. So I'm going to try it again as a biennial. So I got the Champion light pink, dark pink, blue, lavender, purple, white, like all the colors. Because I really love that one. And when that one's blooming with all the rest of this stuff, that becomes my focal flower. When I don't have roses or peonies or daisies or anything else, it makes a fantastic focal flower, and people don't know what it is. There's not a lot of people around that grow that cottage garden type flower. So I'm gonna hedge my bets, grow a whole bunch of those, and then hope for the best. So I'm not gonna film sowing the seed, just because I've done lots of how to sow seed videos in the past. So I just wanted to walk you guys through what a biennial is, why I'm sowing them now and not some other time of the year. Later on in the season, I will also be sowing the cool flowers, some direct and some in trays, to plant out, like feverfew and bupleurum and some other stuff, snapdragons, that we're gonna grow in the field over the winter, along with tulips and ranunculus and everything, to hopefully get even earlier blooms. But yeah, biennials are a really fun plant to have if you can master the timing. It's a little goofy and I've screwed it up before, but if you can make it work, they're fantastic to bridge that gap between tulips and ranunculus to roses and summer annuals. So I hope that you learned something. I hope this is useful to you, and if you want to have blooms from the beginning of the season all the way through the end. All these kind of tips and tricks will help make that happen for you. So I hope that you like this. If you do, leave a message, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and then I'll see you in the next video. Bye guys.